This is Johnny with TigerBomb MMA, and today we're going over UFC Vegas 107 Blanchfield versus Barber. We are back after a delay slash vacation period for the UFC, where they were off last week, and now we are back with a possible number one contenders bout. More than likely will be for Valentina's flyweight championship between Macy Barber and Aaron Blanchfield. And I find this fight intriguing for the possibilities that could happen in this fight. It's a 5-round fight, main event, and it's unfortunate though that this is what is gracing our screens after a pretty good card the last few weeks ago, which was the Morales versus Burns, where Morales just destroyed Burns in one round, which was unfortunate for people betting Burns, thinking that Morales was just kind of this nobody. And now he's proven to be quite possibly a guy that's going to be talked about, just like I mentioned, in the likes of like the Shaft Cats and the Cuck Garys, and he might even fight Ian Gary. But again, we have this fight, which I will go through very quickly because there's not really much to talk about, and you'll understand when I talk about the first fight of the night. The main driving factor for me is the two highlighted bout, which is the Ramiz Brahimaj versus Billy Goff fight. Goff was supposed to fight guy off of the Contender Series. He pulled out slash had visa issues, and now he's fighting Ramiz Brahimaj. And then the co-main event, which is going to be spectacular. It's going to be nothing but just technique, striker versus grappler when it comes to Mr. Highlight Ludovic Klein versus Gamrot, a.k.a. Scamrot, a.k.a. Deadlegs. What do I call him? Matty Deadlegs is what I call him. And hopefully he gets a win because that continued the great nickname that I gave him. But I'm going to jump right into these fights right here. And where are we at? Just making sure I got the right screen. Boom, there we go. First fight of the night, Dear Lord. All right, this is what's going to be the first fight of the night after a couple weeks off. Rayan dos Santos versus Elise Ardelean. I always have a suspicion that I'm mispronouncing her last name. Elise Ardelean. I think it's Ardelean, whatever. Doesn't matter. But she is plus 280. Fuck, I can't read that shit. 265. 9-7 this woman is. She did fight some good people. I don't want to get into that. It doesn't matter who she fought, former champions, current champions, whatever. Rayan dos Santos, minus 340. Now, this is hilarious to me because this has the ability and the chance to be a much closer fight. If you look at both of their records recently in the UFC, they have 2 split decision losses apiece. And Elise, I like the lady, right? She's funny. I like a good funny lady with a big booty. She's right up my alley. The problem with her is that she is primarily an aggressive kickboxer. She's well-rounded enough for the lower levels of women's MMA, but the problem with her is that I guess her style visually to the judges is not appealing enough to give her a decision. I do think she did well enough to potentially win against Shauna Bannon, but it just wasn't enough in the eyes of the judges. It's just like she kind of falls off. She has more than enough to win this fight against Rayan dos Santos because her issue is she's incredibly talented. She has good jiu-jitsu, good striking, but she does not pull the trigger enough. She's not active enough. She is just kind of like this woman that if you were to bet minus 340 on her, and again, this is like if you know something, if you know Alderline is like sick out of her mind and like puking her guts out, and you're in her corner and you're her coach, and you still bet Rayan dos Santos knowing that she could probably pull a stunt here, you're still absolutely fucking insane. This woman is probably going to win, but I would not be surprised if this goes into a split decision or possibly even, God forbid, a split draw, which would be very funny. That way, neither woman wins. But realistically, Rayani is just better. She's more well-rounded. She's a slight bit younger. It's just when you lose to a woman like Pooja Tomar, and maybe that's not all her fault, but it is a majority of her fault that she did not put a stamp on these rounds, like to a sidekick merchant like Pooja, who sucks. dear Lord, it just pisses me off thinking about it. Give me decision for Dos Santos, but this is like the slimiest pick I've got. I'm not proud of it. Next up, we've got Markel Mederos versus Balaji Oki. Now, this is a much better fight. It's very fun between two strikers, very well-rounded, both men. Different approaches to striking. We've got the power of Oki, moving forward, pressure. I mean, in his last fight, it was, I don't want to say a stunt, but a little bit of a stunt. He kind of got caught with the silly gilly of Chris Duncan, and he is minus 175, which I think is deserved, right? I think this guy is solid. His style is going to present issues for Mederos. Mederos plus 145. This guy, solid dude, used to train at Factory X. He has decent cardio. He needs it because of his style where he's constantly moving, switching stances, just laterally on his bike. I wouldn't necessarily call him like the biggest power puncher, but what I've noticed about him in my assessment of him, previous assessment and then current assessment, are that this guy doesn't really love to get pressured. And the thing with that is that he does use his lateral movement well enough to kind of avoid situations. But if you pressure him, and significantly, and the problem in this case is that Oki is going to pressure moving forward intelligently, and he also has the dynamite in the hands to cause a problem for Mederos, to maybe cause him to shoot. As we saw in his last fight for Oki, he's not opposed to going for a takedown himself. I think this could be a very close decision, where the deciding factor is going to be Oki's power, landing the harder shots, and the reaction of Mederos. And now, when it comes to judging, the perception is going to be like the main factor here. Is Oki moving forward and Mederos moving backwards because of the power of Oki? And all that's going to take to put that little thought in the judges' minds is one solid shot from Oki to maybe hurt Mederos enough. And I don't mean he's going to have to be wobbling. I mean he's going to have to like squint his eye or like touch his nose or whatever. And then if he's laterally moving back, odds are he's not going to look like he's winning. I mean, I think he's the cleaner striker when it comes to like the boxing, but they're two different types of strikers, right? One's more of a counter, one's more of a pressure moving forward. Give me Oki just primarily based off of that intimidation factor. And it's a close fight. I think the odds are pretty spot on. Last fight for Oki, I think, knowing how dangerous Chris Duncan is, and I'm going to be honest, like I didn't view him as much of a threat for Oki. I thought he was going to knock him out in the first round. And I think Oki also felt that way. So when he got caught in that guillotine, it was like, oh, what the fuck? So yeah, give me Oki by a decision here. He's going to fight a lot smarter here, less risks. And I think he's going to pull it out just by a very, I don't want to say very close, but a close 29-28. Next bout, we've got a short notice bout here. Andreas Gustaffson versus Trevin Giles. Now, I forgot who Gustaffson was supposed to fight, but person pulled out. Who was it, man? I know it was somebody that was like a grappler. Nevertheless, we got Trevin Giles on short notice here. Now, Trevin, plus 140 on him. He's the better, cleaner boxer, better striker. His grappling's not bad. Chin is god-awful. Gustaffson, my thing with him, minus 165, I like him at these odds, right? He's not the younger guy. That's weird. I thought he was. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. But he's 34 years old. This guy is, if you don't know anything about him, this guy's a savage. He's not clean. He's not pretty. This guy's damn near dirty as hell. And not in a like cheating kind of way, but like he will hold you against the cage. This guy just finds a way to beat your ass. He's just a marauder. Like he's Swedish. This guy would fit right in like a Nordic Viking movie of him just like attacking and getting stabbed and like nothing can stop him. The guy's nasty, right? He's really filthy, like disgusting, man. Like I've seen this dude like covered in blood and just moving forward and breaking his opponents in the Contender Series. He did not look impressive, but what he was doing was breaking down, was it Pat Pitalik? And I actually thought Pat Pitalik was going to knock him out for one particular reason, that Gustafson's striking is kind of shit. His striking defense is kind of shit. And you could think, yeah, maybe Trevin can snipe him. He's got very good hands. But at that point, the marauder in Gustaffson, he's going to eventually crack and maybe knock out Giles. I don't think it's going to be incredibly easy, but Giles, as of late, you know, he's taken a ton of damage. He's on going to be on a 4-fight losing streak. And with a guy like Gustaffson, if you don't put him out cold, he's going to keep coming after you. And I don't know if Trevin's kind of got that style to fend him off for 15 minutes. So give me Gustaffson to eventually break him down, cut him open with elbows against the cage, just be the stronger man between the two, and eventually finish off Trevin. And we'll talk about fading him in the future, because I don't particularly think, like, I'm stuck between, does this guy belong in the UFC? He does, for the factor of like entertainment. Give me this guy over a ton of other guys any day. But will he stay in the UFC? Like, I don't know, man. He gives me these kind of like Drickus vibes. Like, I think he's not quite like a Drickus, but he gives me like he's kind of bad that he's good, but his style isn't like goofy. It's like he just uses his will to break you down, and I like that in a guy. But I do think there's going to be certain fighters that are going to be able to expose him and like crack him. I do not even, I would not be surprised that in either this fight or a fight going forward, if he moves forward trying to be aggressive and he just gets sniped and knocked out with one punch. That's kind of how I'm feeling about him. But give me Gustaffson, whatever, to knock him out in like the second or third round, just kind of breaking him down. Next bout, Jordan Leavitt versus Kurt Holobaugh. Kurt, the Hurt, is plus 130. Come back on the Monkey King. Jordan Leavitt, minus 155. What makes this interesting is that all three of Leavitt's losses are to guys similar to Kurt Holobaugh. And by that I mean like jiu-jitsu guys. Claudio Poyes, guy who could wrestle, has good jiu-jitsu. First loss for Leavitt. Second loss was to Paddy Pimblett, guy, good jiu-jitsu. And then the third was to Chase Hooper recently. The thing with Leavitt, though, is like I've been slowly getting more impressed by his like development. Like he's training out of what's it called, that gym where that guy with the mustache is at, Nick Sick Extreme Couture, and he's getting his aggression a bit up. Ever since he got that knockout over that guy who doesn't matter, Victor Martinez, with the clinch knee, he just showed a lot cleaner striking technique. He's not too bad on the feet, throws a lot of nice kicks. Primarily, the main reason I'm going to pick him to win is the takedown ability. This guy's got solid jiu-jitsu defense, sub-defense, and takedown ability. Good wrestling. Kurt, he moves forward. He can crack. He has good punches, but he cannot stuff takedowns. You can take him down and control him. And as long as Leavitt doesn't get caught, I don't see him getting caught here. He had a great battle with Chase Hooper on the mat. Very fun fight for while it lasted. Like, this dude, I picked him to win because I thought, hey, he's going to land on top, maybe get some good ground and pound in. He actually did crack him, but the length of, what's his name? Chase Hooper just was doing him dirty. So give me Leavitt to win this one by a decision, just primarily just getting top control. On the feet, I can see maybe Kurt landing some good punches, but eventually he'll get taken down. Some might say he got robbed against Alexander Hernandez. I am not here to discuss that fight particularly, but let's just say that Hernandez eventually started following the game plan. And I hate saying this particular phrase, but the game plan is out on how to beat Kurt Holobaugh. I shouldn't have to say that. I shouldn't have to remind people how you beat Kurt Holobaugh. Just take him down. Don't get subbed. Easy peasy. He ain't getting up. And Leavitt, I think he's smart enough, strong enough, young enough to be able to implement that game plan. Moving on, we've got Alan Nascimento versus Rafael Filho. Now, this fight pisses me off because I've been waiting for it for a while. Nascimento has not been fighting. He's been like pulling out of fights. He was supposed to fight Subadarji, Tim Elliott, Fiallo, and somebody else. And he's just kind of been dealing with nagging injuries, right? Also, I don't want to make accusations, but I suspect that because he's a big dude for the weight class, he might be struggling making the weight. So I do worry this might get canceled again. And I also worry, because I will be picking Nascimento, and I'll explain why. I worry that if dude is, hey, Johnny said he's picking Nascimento, and he shows up on weight day and he's like dying. This guy's name is like Puroso, like basically Skeletor. And if he's looking like it during the weigh-ins, that's going to suck. As for Fiallo, dude's solid. He's very good himself. They're very mirror images to each other. I think the power might go to Fiallo on the feet. Nascimento, you would view him as a like shoot box, you know, grappler. Like the other thing is that the guys he has beaten, which would be Hadley and Hernandez, neither man are in the UFC anymore. So like he's been away for 2 years, and the division's passing him by at flyweight. Fiallo though, like his wins are looking better. Like Ode Osborne, he just got a knockout over Gugu Gaga or whatever his name was, Luis, and then Barres. Like his wins are solid, right? Like this guy can take an ass whoop and move forward. He's a submission threat. What I view Nascimento doing is taking him down repeatedly and more or less controlling him. Similar to like how Mokayev did, but with him being so much longer and lankier, he's going to be able to get the body lock in, get on top, kind of tripod on him to avoid getting swept, and he'll just win a decision. If this stays on the feet, I'd like to see Nascimento striking because he does come from a striking background himself, but they're more or less mirror images of each other, really, with Fiallo being a little bit more aggressive, more heavy-handed, and Nascimento just having the cleaner, I believe, technique on the ground. So give me Fiallo by a decision using that jiu-jitsu to get him the victory here. Next bout. Okay, so this one's fascinating to me, right? This is the main card opener at middleweight. Zach Reese versus Dusko Todorovic. If I need to get a verdict out here, I think Dusko's live as fuck later in the round if he doesn't get finished in the first, right? So I had to go back and rewatch Dusko's last victory, and it kind of lit a fire under my ass. Like, damn, like the sensation of him coming out in the second round against the Beverly Hills Ninja after kind of getting dominated in the first reminded me, like, oh yeah, I had a bunch of money on Dusko that night to cash me out a parlay. And then when he cashed it out, those feelings came back of like, fuck yeah. I think I ate a big ass steak that night too. Zach Reese, right? They are very similar to each other, right? Dusko, he's got solid striking. He's a big dude for the division. He's what, 6'1", kind of long for the division himself. Good jiu-jitsu, but he's kind of been getting his ass beat from time and time again. What I find interesting about that is that he's never really been put out cold, which Zach has been twice. And with Dusko, like he can take an ass whooping and he can keep going forward, and he does have that fighting spirit. And he's what, plus 230 here. Zachary Reese, kind of a meme finisher kind of guy. Like he can get you out of there in the first round. And I don't think he's warranted being minus 285. I think all the money should kind of be on the Dusko side. The problem with him though is that he has taken so much damage. Zachary Reese, you can kind of make an excuse for him. Like, well, he got hit in the back of the head by a guy with heavy hands in Bekoyev, and he was doing really well against him on the ground. Like, he has that solid jiu-jitsu off of his back. And he's a big dude himself, the reach. So I worry about this fight betting-wise. Like, betting-wise, I think I'm on the Dusko side automatically, but that first round's going to be absolute hell for this kid, right? He is slightly younger by like a couple weeks than Zachary Reese. But what's unfortunate is that both men have kind of suffered long lasting damage. And visually, like in his last fight, Dusko, he got beat up bad by Mansour. The thing is, this dude kind of keeps doing the same shit in that bad position where he gets dropped. He'll fish for like a heel hook or leg, and there he is available. His head's wide open to get hit. He didn't get knocked out cold by Mansour, but he took and absorbed a lot of damage. Zachary Reese, if he can get his like first round burst out, I think he can probably get him out of there. So I'm kind of leaning Zachary Reese for that reason. The thing is, though, if this gets to the second round, that's where Dusko can probably take over because Zach might get tired. Like, that is if Dusko still has enough in that chin. And, like, I cannot predict him to win this fight, but I am kind of rooting for him to win this fight because, like, you go back and you watch that Jordan Wright fight. Jordan Wright was training his wrestling with Vladimir Matyushenko. He was a stronger dude at the time. He kind of dominated Dusko, nearly finished him. But then Dusko survived. Second round came out and beat the shit out of him. Like, it was one of those, like, now it's my turn. What do you got? And his cardio looked great. He just never stopped punching. So I'm hoping that does happen. Thus, he has to survive round number 1 from Zachary Reese. If he comes out like that immediately, I think Zach, he's kind of crafty in that first round. So I am going to pick him in the first round TKO. But man, I'm telling you, like I'm probably going to be posting a couple bets here, like inside the distance or round number 1 Reese, Dusko money line, and then maybe Dusko round number 2 or Dusko like live bet, depending on how it goes. Because I'm very intrigued by this particular matchup, mostly because what is Dusko going to do if he does survive? How badly is he going to get beaten? Will Zach maybe fight a little bit less aggressive? Who knows? Like I'm very curious about this one because they're kind of both on that same wavelength. Guys that can get a finish. They're both very talented, but they're just not able to like take the punishment enough or be physical against their opponents. Like they unfortunately have both fought guys that have just kind of steamrolled them. So we'll see how this goes, but give me Reese round number 1 to finish Dusko. Hopefully that does not happen. I live bet Dusko, and then he finishes Reese in the second. That's kind of how I'm hoping, because Reese does tend to fade later on. He's not a guy that tends to go all 3 rounds, and he even made Medina, is that his name? Yeah, Jose Medina look like a possible bet against the guy he fought, like Gautier or whatever, because he couldn't get finished by Reese. So I'm just kind of curious about this one more so than anything. So yeah, give me Reese round number 1. Not sold on it. I'm hoping for that round number 2 Dusko money. Next bout, we've got Ketlen Viera versus Macy Chaisson. I was on the Chaisson side for a bit, but then I kind of watched more tape on her. Her last win was against Mayra Bueno Silva, where, if I'm being honest, she kind of got lucky with that TKO, with that cut. This girl, Chaisson, she gives me, like, besides the fact of her being from Louisiana, she has always given me like Lady Poirier vibes, like same kind of haircut, same similar goofy ass tattoos, and the fact that they're kind of known as like submission people, but whatever. But this girl is she's just big for the division, and I think that's been her like saving grace. She is relentless with the wrestling, and now she's fighting Ketlen Viera. At this point, she's minus 125, the plus 100 on Chaisson. She comes from a judo background, I believe, black belt in jiu-jitsu. I think she's going to be hard to take down. And I'm not saying that because of the fight with Harrison, where Harrison had a bit of a hard time. I think it's mostly the ability to actually stuff takedowns that she has. And on top of that, with her having that judo background herself, I think she might be able to trip Chaisson and get on top of her. This is a dumb fight because I can see either woman winning this one. It's 50-50 to me. I think Viera, despite being technically better, I think she should win. Comes from a better camp in Nova União. Fortis, to me, it's kind of been going down the drain a lot. Saif Sayoud sometimes is just yelling shit, and he's not really helping his. It is what it is, but this is all going to be dependent on. It's like 50-50. Whoever gets more visual control against the cage, whoever lands one extra shot. Fuck. It's the kind of shit, like, I can see Ketlen Viera lifting up Chaisson. Her feet are off the ground. She's going to do a lateral, and then she falls backwards, and fucking Chaisson wins the fight based off of that last second of top control. I hate this fight. Give me Viera by a decision. I'll stay away from it. Moving on, we've got Dustin Jacoby versus Bruno Lopes. Now, Jacoby, minus 155, comeback on Lopes is plus 125. So I was going back and forth on this one. My initial thought was like Bruno Lopes, probably the easy route to take. Like if I didn't want to do any tape on this, I'd just say Bruno wins because he's younger and he just beat an undefeated Russian, like shit like that. Easy, goofy shit. But this is a lot tougher, right? We've got a 37-year-old Dustin Jacoby. He just kind of got like I don't want to say a meme knockout over Petrino. Like Petrino was, I don't want to say handedly winning that fight. He was winning it based off of doing enough, and then he knocks out Petrino, who at this point, he is the busted prospect of the year. Now he's moving up to heavyweight. That was super unfortunate, man. Yeah, man, it just sucks thinking that Petrino, I'll talk about him for a bit. He lost to Anthony Smith, and we know where he's at now. And he lost to Dustin Jacoby. So it gives the viewers, us, uh, indication like, oh, maybe these guys aren't washed. Maybe they still got it in them. And Jacoby, he had a hard time with Petrino. He couldn't really do much. And I think his chin is failing him as well. So I cannot, in good conscience, say, like, I think he's a good chance here to win. But unfortunately, he kind of has a path to victory here, and that is knocking out Bruno Lopes. Lopes, the thing with him is that I was telling UFC Ninja this. The dude is not a guy I think that the UFC should have brought into the UFC. Like, I don't think he should have been signed. I think they brought him in because he had a spectacular win over a who gives a shit kind of fighter, and he's just kind of like, he's fine. He former LFA champion, jiu-jitsu black belt. His striking is like getting better, but striking defense kind of crap, right? That leads me to think that maybe there's a chance that Jacoby can catch him. His former K1 background. Realistically, though, being the much younger guy by 5 years, I think he's going to win this one. Being the smarter of the two, I think he can get Jacoby down to the ground, kind of mix in the takedowns. He did show me in his last fight against Gaziasulev, a guy that I picked to win, but my reasoning for it was I don't think Lopes is smart enough to kind of implement a specific game plan because Gaziantsev, dude sucks, right? He's a gasser. He's just not a very good fighter, but he is explosive. And I'm like, yeah, if he can explode on this dude in the first round, he might be able to knock him out. He wasn't able to do that. He got stuffed, kind of held up against the cage by Lopes. He showed a very high fight IQ at that point, just made it look a lot easier. And for Lopes, like, he is just not a guy I'm willing to go out on a limb and say, like, this guy is going to be something. I think he will be suffering some knockouts in the UFC once he gets to a certain, plane. It could well be Jacoby that knocks him out. I'm going to pick him to win primarily because I think the youth factor is on his side. Jacoby, he's what? How many fights has he had? At least in MMA, 30 fights total? I think that Lopes having the youth advantage, having the ability to not only strike, but primarily strike in the clinch to mix in takedowns is going to lead to his victory here, where he's going to win this one by a decision. I'd like to see some more improvements from Lopes. Like, he is a guy that he has the mold pre-made, ready to go to be a pretty solid fighter, but the little things, like, you can make bread, but if you forget to put the yeast in it and shit, it's not bread. That's kind of how I view him. Like, he's got the black belt in jiu-jitsu, but certain things like the striking defense, like the high IQ, like, I just need to see a little bit more from this guy. Maybe develop yourself a little bit more. But he's already 32. But then again, he's in a higher weight class, so people could develop into their 40s. So we'll see. For Jacoby, he's had the takedown defense, he's got the striking, he's got the power, but I think the durability is definitely waning at this point. So give me Lopes to win this one by decision, kind of mixing things up nicely to just win on the scorecard. So moving on here, we've got a short notice, more or less, fight between Ramiz Brahimaj. Original opponent was going to be Oban Elliott, which I was like excited to see, versus Billy Goff here. Billy Ray Goff, minus 340 on Goff, come back on Brahimaj, plus 270. Now, I think the odds are more or less correct. I think they're a little wild. At least give me like minus 250 on Billy, right? Billy, man. I love Billy Goff. I like his fighting style. I like his heart. I like his ability to mix things up. I like his just unrelenting will is kind of the way I would put it. This guy may not be the cleanest. The thing about him, though, he's only 26, and I can see him just cleaning some things up, and he can probably go on a pretty good run. I don't know if he's going to be top 10, but maybe top 20, top 15, if, and I mean very well, if he can adjust certain things. This dude is, from last I checked, because I actually, hit him up on Twitter or X from time to time and kind of check on him, and Dude's been doing a lot of wrestling. The dude's in phenomenal shape. The dude is ready to go. This guy was pissed off that his opponent Ko couldn't make it. This is, I guess, the first time that he's had an opponent pull out. And now they put him up against Brahimaj, which is funny because I said, hey, just take Oban Elliott out, give him a crappy opponent, and then put him in against Brahimaj. Because Brahimaj can take an ass whooping, and Billy Goff can give out an ass whooping. Brahimaj, his last fight, he knocked out cold Mickey Gall. What's interesting about Brahimaj, kind of give you a base info on him, good jiu-jitsu. He's very good at taking the back, very good at submissions. Hard to finish, but he has taken a ton of damage himself. The thing about this kid is he's got nothing else. His hands have looked like they improved a bit, like his power against Mickey Gall was impressive. Thus, it does lead me to believe there's a good chance he might be actually able to knock out Billy Goff. And knock out in the sense of not doctor stoppage, but the referee intervenes. Billy has been dropped a lot in his fights, and that's a unfortunate thing about him. Like he doesn't have the best striking defense, and that's just the thing. He gets hit, he gets dropped, he comes back, and then he puts an ass whooping on you. His last fight, which was against Trey Waters, that giant, fucking 7-foot tall dude. I loved everything about that fight. Like Billy fought his heart out to try to win. Like he hurt. At one point, Trey, the thing is, though, like I do think that Trey won that fight. He had just bigger moments there. But the fact that Billy just kept moving forward against a super tall dude, very impressive. Billy has very good boxing. I don't want to say how good his wrestling is because I'm not sure. Like he does come from a wrestling background, but he's not the greatest wrestler. But maybe in this fight, he might show his improvements. He hasn't fought in a while. This fight can go one of multiple different ways, right? I think Brahimaj, he's kind of like a front runner in my eyes. If he takes the back, there's a chance he can actually submit Billy Ray Goff. Billy's never been finished, never been knocked out. But if he gets dropped, if Brahimaj drops him, if Kevin McDonald's out there, he can probably stop this shit early. Anyone who has a fucking KO prop for Brahimaj is going to look like a genius. But the most likely outcome is Billy Ray breaks him down systematically and either gets a TKO stoppage, just battering the shit out of Brahimaj, because Billy's got good cardio, man. This guy's solid. Or he beats his ass to a decision, because Brahimaj is very difficult to finish. This guy finds a way not to get destroyed. The only one to actually finish him in the UFC would have been Max Griffin, where he, I guess, bursted his cauliflower ear, they had to call it. That's the kind of shit I'm expecting from this fight. Like I'm a big fan of Billy Ray. I want to see more of this kid. So hopefully he goes out there and puts on a performance. But this is one of these fights where, despite the fact that Brahimaj is like plus 270, there is a possibility he can get a finish here. I don't think he's going to be able to win a decision unless he is like consistently hurting Billy, and I don't foresee that happening. Like Billy can take an ass whooping early, he can take your shots, but then he starts systematically moving forward. This guy will push you against the cage himself. He will attack the body. This guy is nasty in there. So give me Billy. I'm leaning either TKO late or a decision. But if that does happen, I'm thinking either round 3 or decision. Watch him knock him out with the first punch. But yeah, give me Billy here. I don't like the odds, though, at all. So I would probably have to prop bet him either decision or TKO. I don't foresee him submitting Brahimaj. Brahimaj's like too good to get submitted unless, he's getting viciously beat unconscious and his hand just kind of like taps and they call it a submission, but I doubt that's going to happen. So yeah, give me Billy Ray, 3rd round TKO or a decision. Next bout, co-main event. Awesome co-main event. Should have been the main event. Mateus Gamrot, minus 140, come back on Leavitt Klein. That is plus 120. Now, striker versus grappler. We've got, I think it's like at both ends of the spectrum, right? We've got like maybe the most grappler in the UFC in my eyes. Like this guy is just, he wants you down. There's a joke there I don't want to go with, but let's just say if he wants it, he's going to get it. He sees it, he wants it, he'll get it. He's going to try to take you down. He will hold you down. He's going to find a way to do it. Ludovic Klein, athletic striker, Mr. Highlight for a reason. This dude is savage. He finds ways, uppercuts, like left high kicks, incredibly athletic himself. He very much similar to a Rafael Fiziev, but slightly different. I would say maybe a little bit more technical, a little bit less exaggerated with his striking. Like maybe he isn't as wasteful, I should say. With this fight, this could be the like kind of like the new blood in the lightweight division, right? Will Ludovic Klein be able to beat number 5 Mateus Gamrot, take his spot, and maybe inch closer to maybe fight for the title? Because there's a lot of new possibilities in that division that'd be amazing. Like Ludovic Klein versus fucking Arman Sarukian would be ridiculous. Klein versus Benil Dariush, like shit like that would be different. Difference always new, better, etc. Shit, Ludovic Klein versus Michael Chandler, like possibilities might be endless in that like top 5. With Gamrot though, he has fought guys like this before. He has fought experienced strikers that just refuse to get taken down. Like Ludovic Klein at 155, his takedown defense has been remarkable. I've been incredibly impressed by it. The thing is, like, he has not fought anyone of the caliber of Gamrot. With Gamrot, what makes him so dangerous is it's not that his striking's like, oh my God, he does have a very heavy right hand. He does have decent enough power in striking. He will not shy away from striking with you, but it's that thing that if he goes for that low single, the ankle pick, he's not going to let it go. Like, you're going to have to force him to let it go. And that's what makes him so incredibly, at least for me, fun to watch, because dude is not going to let up. Like, if he fails on a takedown, he's not going to say, oh no, that's it, I get it. He's not, I already forgot his name. He got knocked down. What's his name? He's not Moises. He's not Thiago Moises, where he will get deterred after failing on a dead to rights takedown that Ludovic Klein just like stuffs completely. Like, he's going to be like, well, better go for another one. Like, he is just relentless with that chain wrestling. And for Klein, I don't know if he's fought anyone like that. And that's the thing. Like, I am rooting for Klein in this one, but I am picking Gamrot to win this one by a decision. And this is more or less the strength of schedule for Klein. And I'll talk about Gamrot in his last fight. But you look at it, right? Bahamundes, I don't view Bahamundes as high as a lot of other people do. But he did treat him like a scrub. And then we see the AJ Cunningham. He handled him like a scrub. Moises, he is not somebody that I would, like, particularly at this point in time, view as a very good win. Like, he couldn't finish him, and we saw what Jared Gordon did to him. That was incredibly hilarious to me. I even said, like, he's better everywhere than Jared. Like, everywhere. His liver's better. Like, he never OD'd under the fucking Madison Square Garden. Yet, we saw what happened. Like, he always finds a way to lose. And then we've got Roosevelt Roberts, like, and given the fact that Gamrot's a bigger dude, and generally I think guys that give Gamrot trouble are like lankier, taller dudes, which would have been his last fight with Dan Hooker. Now, what I find interesting about the Dan Hooker fight is that it all came down to round number 1 and how you scored it. And I find that fascinating because I think Gamrot more or less dominated round number 1. You know, he hurt Hooker, he cut Hooker up, he dropped him, he controlled him. He actually, I thought, more or less dominated the entire fight, the round, up until he got dropped with the left hook. And then he popped right back up. And then I guess the momentum of Hooker from getting his ass beat to maybe potentially putting him in a position to finish Gamrot swayed everyone, more or less 2 judges, to give him round number 1. I still would have given round number 1 to Gamrot. So I find that one to be like a very true 50-50 kind of like split decision that he lost. So I'm not holding that too poorly. Like, I think Hooker is the kind of guy that would give Gamrot problems. Tall, lanky guys, and then knees up the middle when he's going for the low single. And if Ludovic Klein, here's kind of what I'm like hoping for him. You know, that's the thing with Klein, right? He's known for that low single, typically attacks the right leg. If you can time a knee, similar to how RDA did, and I remember thinking, like, that's kind of the only way you can deter him from doing that. And even if you do it, he's not going to stop from going for it. But if Klein can maybe picture perfect time it in the first round, there's an alternate universe out there, possibly this one, where he knocks him out in the first round with a flying knee. So I'm just saying, but my thought is if that does not happen, it's Gamrot's going to get a hold of him. He's going to like tree top him, grab his leg, take him down, hold him, wear on him, tire him out, get his muscles to, fatigue. And then round number 2, round number 3, kind of easily starts getting these takedowns and ends up winning this one either 30-27 or 29-28. Now, will Klein prove to have like the perfect cocktail, to have the right amount of cardio to withstand a guy like Gamrot? We shall see. But at this point, give me Gamrot by a decision. I just think that at this point, it's just a little too much for Klein. I mean, you got to give this guy someone. Maybe a Jared Gordon would have been a really good matchup for Klein, but they're giving him number 5 in the world, Gamrot. I think the loss to Hooker is making either the matchmakers think or the general public think that he might not be like up there. Like the dude is still up there. I think he can definitely give a lot of guys trouble in that top 5. But styles make fights, and certain guys are going to give Gamrot some trouble. But yeah, give me Gamrot to win this one by a decision. And then finally, main event, we've got Aaron Blanchfield versus Macy Barber. Blanchfield minus 175. Come back on Barber plus 140. Did I say plus 175, minus 175? This one I was going back and forth on quite a bit because the grappling of Blanchfield, it's going to be the deciding factor ultimately, right? Macy, she has never been 5 rounds, and I'm not holding that against her because I don't suspect cardio being an issue. She has fought in very difficult matchups 3 rounds and still looked pretty fresh going into the third and at the end of the third. Trains in Colorado. So I don't value the fatigue angle. For Blanchfield though, what she does so well, she doesn't have the greatest striking, but that doesn't deter her from going out there and trying to strike with you. And I think she will do that. She will pressure, she will move forward, but she can get a bit manhandled out there. Macy's a very strong woman, and between the two, she is the stronger. Maybe not the cleaner technique-wise when it comes to jiu-jitsu or wrestling, but she just overpowers her opponents. And I've seen Blanchfield get overpowered, and she's fought at, I believe, 115. Maybe I might be mistaken there. Don't quote me on that. But the way I view this fight is that will Blanchfield be able to get Macy down? Now, I've seen Macy get taken down pretty easily in the past, but Blanchfield's not really the best at getting takedowns. Like, she kind of has to take the back, maybe trip you. Like, she was having trouble with Rose at one point. Like, she only took Rose down twice. But one thing that I will always give Aaron Blanchfield is this woman is very good at adjusting mid-fight. Meaning that, like, if you go back to, like, the Tyler Santos fight where she couldn't get her down and she was having struggles against that woman in the first round, instead of actually like spamming takedowns, she's like, fuck it, I'll hold you against the cage because I can keep you here and just win on points. And then she ended up chipping away. So that kind of stuff, like she's having trouble like taking down, who was it, what's that girl's name? Let me see if I can see her here. Not Molly, not Jessica. What is her name? Oh my god, initials JJ Aldrich. JJ stuffing the takedowns. She starts striking with her, getting the better of the striking at a certain point, and then she gets the neck. You look at the fight with her and Jessica Andrade, at first couldn't get the takedowns, fucking strikes with her for a bit, cracks her, eventually forces a scramble, takes her back, chokes her out. Like, this girl's solid. She's a very good fighter, and I do think she might present issues for Valentina. The thing is, she's kind of light. You know what I mean? You can toss her around. I don't foresee her having like the absolute wrestling advantage. I think Macy is just going to be too strong. So it's going to be interesting to see how the fight progresses. I do think it's going to go over. I don't foresee Macy just knocking out Aaron Blanchfield. So it's a very fascinating fight, but I will say it's not a fight that's like intriguing to me to watch. I'd like to get the cliff notes on it. Like, oh yeah, Aaron couldn't get the takedown, so they struck for a little bit. They were very close on the feet where like Aaron was throwing more volume, but Macy was landing the harder punches. I'm intrigued by it, like for sure, because Macy is the more ferocious of the two. They remind me of each other just on different spectrums as well. Like Macy is very aggressive, will move forward, finds a way. Not really much of a finisher, despite the fact that she does have the higher knockout finish ability. And Aaron, on the other hand, will move forward to try to clinch, try to take the back, try to take you down, try to submit you. So it's a fascinating fight. I keep saying fascinating because I don't want to call it like a fucking piss break kind of fight, because it's like a 30-minute fight. I was leaning Blanchfield, but like, if I'm gonna be honest with you, after I watched the Rose fight, I got less confident in Blanchfield, mainly because it almost seemed like Rose just stopped fighting. Like, she just didn't seem to have it in her anymore. And knowing Macy, if she's in that situation where she is stuffing takedowns and she's more or less forcing Blanchfield to strike, I can see Macy just getting the better of it. And there's one thing I didn't want to bring up, but Macy is just beloved by the judges. Like, she finds a way to win. I've seen her on 2 different occasions where I thought she didn't do enough to win, but her aggression translates very well to the judges' scorecards, right? Like in her fight with, what's her name? Not Hebaz, Andrea Lee. I thought Lee did enough to win, just given, like, at the time, kind of what we were expecting to happen at the end of the fight with takedowns and control time and all that shit. I'm like, I think maybe Barber didn't do enough damage, but I guess visually she might have done enough, and they gave it to her. Her fight with Miranda Maverick as well, I thought Maverick did enough to win, but again, her aggression, her just tenacity, I believe, just, they love this girl. They absolutely love her. So I would not be surprised if this is such a close fight where maybe Blanchfield is up 3-2, and then it goes to the favor of Macy Barber. If this is that fight where I'm thinking Barber forces Blanchfield to strike with her, I think despite the fact that maybe Blanchfield would be landing more often, maybe enough to sway and win the rounds, I think the impactful shots of Barber, even if they don't land, just the aggression of her moving forward and maybe Blanchfield moving backwards, is going to win her this fight. And if I'm going to be even more honest with you, in these types of scenarios where it's such a like close fight, if it is like I'm picturing it, I can honest to God expect the judges to kind of not be paying attention and then just look up from their phones for a second and see that Barber's moving forward and say, fuck it, she won that round. So give me Barber by a decision here. I think that would open up a very interesting possibility for her to get fast-tracked to the title. And we'll see if she can actually become the champion. She was kind of hyping herself up as the possible youngest champion in the UFC. That ship has fucking sailed. But if she can get that title, it opens up like this plethora of possibilities, right? This girl is not the best at everything, but just her fighting style is something I guess the UFC would appreciate more. So those are my thoughts on this card. Again, not the most exciting card, but I'd like to know what you think in the comments below. Let me know what you think about the main event. If you think there's possibilities, what I find fascinating about these is that someone's going to be like, oh, I'm all on Barber. She's for sure going to win because of fucking XYZ. She looks like she loses. Everyone says she fucking wins another bullshit decision robbery. And those people that have that ticket are just going to be like, I knew it all the fucking time. Like, no, man, this is a fucking close fight. So let me know what you think. Do you think Barber is the side? I don't know, man. This one's like, I'll stay away from it. I'm probably not going to be paying attention to it. But yeah, let me know in the comments. Johnny, TigerBomb, MMA. I'll catch you next time.